delegating, like for me,
Yeah.
I'm best, Casey, if I'm out selling with you, teaching you how to make cold calls, and we've all been making more cold calls than you can shake a stick at together, and that's fun. I love doing sales calls and stuff, but delegating, I just go upstairs, because everybody works downstairs, and I got an exercise room right there, and I get on that exercise bike and I burn some energy. Okay, and I Google. Okay, is that honest? Okay, so now, the part, did you talk about money?
Yeah, I mean, delegating costs money in certain circumstances.
I don't know what cost money is, tell me.
Well, I mean, everything from having an accountant do all that stuff, sometimes you just spend time doing book work.
I got a D- in accounting and that was fairly easy to delegate. Okay. I told them at law school, I said, I promise I'm going to the courtroom, and I did really well in the courtroom, and I got an F in those classes, and I said, I'm going to the courtroom, and they said, no, you're not, you're out of here. And I said, okay, whatever. So I did exactly what I told them at law school I'd do. I hired that done. We have a really good lawyer, we have a CPA, we have another woman that does her books. I delegate all that, and that's part of our cost of doing business. That's part of our financials. Daryl, you guys all. We have money built into the formula of the gross sale price of a product that would cover all those expenses. And we actually had to change that 3 years ago when our market shrunk. You know, that when you asked about that economy, we work nationally, and schools quit spending, and we lost $500,000 in sales during that. And we had to change how we did our accounting, and we sold off a couple divisions that weren't profitable. But we brought in a contract woman, and I was able to cut my accounting costs in half. And I called my CPA, I was on the phone driving, and we were talking a long time, and he said, give this woman a chance. And we helped her start a small business. We spun her off. We're her biggest client. She got 4 or 5 other little clients, and she went and started a business because of us. But a gentleman who'd been with us 10 years, who was ready to retire, very close to, and we might have expedited it a little bit, but he had to leave our company. He was getting a 401k, he was getting health and benefits, and a nice salary, and that had to go. That's just the hard, cruel facts of owning your business and some of the things you got to do. As business owners, we have to do some really, really nasty stuff. And it's not fun. John and I were talking last night about trying to keep salespeople. Very challenging and frustrating for us. And Casey is just a breath of fresh air, his enthusiasm to work and his desire to work.
I'll give him a card before he leaves.
And I'll strangle you later. So anyway, does that answer your question? Do you guys want to take a pop at that?
I would think the good thing that I had was being a part of a franchise, which you don't have. But I mean, basically, we had all these comparables saying here's some ratios you can be in. You know, I mean, for us, the top 2 most important things were keeping your food and labor costs in line, and so it gave us a target. For you, I mean, you're going to have to find some kind of industry benchmark, where you need to be at, and then it really comes down to what's your top line, because now your top line is going to decide what you can do. The second thing would be what are you best at and what do you love to do, and outsourcing the other part of it is scary. So I mean, if you don't like direct selling, then you got to find somebody to hire somebody to do that so you can grow your top line, but you're going to have to know what kind of production they should get so to get you where you want to go. And like I said, for us, the biggest challenge for me is when we first started in 1988, I think our first year we did a little under $400,000, and I've had interest in several restaurants, but I mean now combined all my companies are around $5 million. I mean my life's a lot different, and realistically some days I want to go back and just run the restaurant, but I can't. I can never plug myself back in to the restaurant now, and it kind of kills me because I like that part of it, but I'm doing all kinds of other things. But I mean, been lucky every step of the way. I mean, when I talk about that personal guarantee, back in 2008, at that time, I had 1 winner and 3 losers. And the 1 winner was Brandon Pizza Ranch, and it was floating all the others. So I mean, I've had to close restaurants. I closed 2 restaurants back to back, and one that was underwater. And now I've had time to work through all those things, but just coming with a better plan. Here's the number, and outsourcing what I don't do well. And then frankly, having those partners that are committed. So I mean, it's a process, and I don't think anybody can ever say, here's the magic formula. But I mean, it really comes down to growing the timeline and doing what you're best at, and having somebody else do the other stuff, whether it's a partner or hired out.
The delegating thing is a very good question, and it's very important because in business, you're only as important as what you're doing. Just think about that. If you're going to go to work every day and say, you know what, I worked hard today, and think and not really analyze what it is you did and how you could have replaced yourself. But some of the most successful business people in the world are comfortable in surrounding themselves with the best possible people. Not everybody are, you know, some people aren't comfortable with that. I've worked in both those types of environments. But the delegating thing, and then you mentioned cost, you know, you mentioned specifically bookkeeping. To be an entrepreneur, you have to have a level of optimism. But it's a double-edged sword, because if you're going to use optimism to replace bookkeeping, you're probably not going to make it. And I've gone down that path where I wasn't as dedicated to having good sound books to know every minute where you're at, you know, and you can't sustain that. So I think it's really a very intelligent question, and you hit on some very important things there that I think are important to, you know, to be successful. But just remember, you're only as important as what you're doing. You know, if you're reducing yourself to a task that really is something somebody should be doing that you could be delegating it to, you know, then you've actually reduced what your value for your time in that given day was. And as a leader and the owner of a company, that can be kind of dangerous.
My turn. Okay. Well, I don't know that I'm the greatest one to ask about delegating, because I'm kind of a hands-on guy, but I can say I'm getting better at it. When you don't have time to do everything, you're kind of forced to delegate. And in December, I made what would probably be the most difficult decision I've made so far in business. The company that we started right when we moved here, the Great Spot Company, I realized I could either do a really good job running that, or do a really good job running a radio station, or do a really crappy job trying to run both. And I didn't want to do a crappy job running both. And in 2011, there were several times where I look back and say, well, how did I let that happen? You know, somebody had to wait that long to get something done. And it's because I was focused on this. If it were a symphony and I'm playing the violin and I'm also playing the flute, I can't play them both at the same time. So I have a guy that has been with me. I've never met this guy. Talk about having some faith in someone. Never met him. Lives in Tennessee. If you ever listen to Sunny Radio, you've heard him. He's the guy that says, time now for local news. He's been with me for about 5 years. And I handed the director of operations position over to him. Now, there have been many times since then that I've thought, was that the right decision? It's the only decision for now. I can tell you this. He doesn't have the same level of passion that I have for it. It took me 5 years to build that company. You know, it was handed to him. If I could change the way that happened, I would, because I don't think that he appreciates it nearly as much. You know, when I've got clients calling me saying, I want it to be the way it used to be. It can't be. I can't do it all. I just can't. But that was a really difficult decision, and I guess that would be delegating. And like I said, I don't know that was the perfect solution, but for right now, that was the only solution to allow me to do what I need to do over here.
I'm going to tie that together for you. We have a sheet that sits up back where employees check in. And this is our plan, how we're going to do it to grow by another $1 million in sales. Is first of all, we had to improve our systems. You're talking about accounting systems, we're talking about sales systems, we're talking about all systems. We were weak in all of them, right? Okay. Second, we had to understand our platform. We have a local platform, a regional platform, and a national platform that we had to address. We have some complicated issues in the way we market our business. And the third thing, I didn't even know what these words meant 3 years ago until I got serious about trying to grow. Metrics and analytics. Anybody know that? Now, you know how committed I am. I read a book called Operational Analytics. You know how hard that is for a type A personality to read that? It like killed me, but I don't even know what it said, but I said I'd read it because I needed to know more about it. And the long story short, Daryl would know it, Brad would know some of it. It's a metric, and I actually use this is a multiple deal, is Casey goes out, I'll use Casey at Maximum Promotions as an example. If he calls on 100 people, there's going to be about 40 of them that show some interest, maybe 60 on a good day, time of year. And in the end, if he can get 15 or 20 of them to buy, and he can average $1,000 a sale or $800 a sale or whatever, those are metrics and analytics. The words are kind of intertwined. But you need to have an understanding of that. I had no clue. And I'll tell you who really scolded me over that is I had Dana Dykehouse up in my office, and Dana was my first banker. We go clear back. He remembers mortgaging this 76 Nissan Datsun pickup I had, and he'll tell that story. He said, I gave you money when you shouldn't have. I said, well, you hardly gave me any, but that's another story. So, but he was the one that said, you have gone as far as you can go with this company. And we've made money, don't get me wrong, and we've used appreciation, all those things that are part of my world. But if you want to grow, you got to elevate yourself, and you need to get better systems and so on. And I really got scolded. He gave it to me pretty good. We were having a real open conversation, and it did me a lot of good. So here's the other part. Everyone grows their career. Everyone does their part. We're a sales organization. When the day is done, Maximum Promotions sells product, but we also build product. And these are the things that we had to get our handle on. We build relationships. We build great products. We have 7 to 12 contacts annually with our designated accounts. We have great teamwork. And another word that came in big, sooner versus later. When I talked about the bridge, I was only half joking about going up with a sledgehammer and using it as an example. Get her going. If we talk about something at our store, don't talk about it, go do it. And there's a time to chill that out a little bit. But if we need to do something, go get it done. It's going to be just as important in a week, so you just won't get started on it. So, good question. All right, one more question, then we'll kind of wrap.